Welcome to the Body Smart Podcast, where we remove roadblocks to fitness and health to empower you to master your health habits. We help you become Body Smart.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Body Smart Vodcast. I have a special guest in here today, Dr. Randall Steinfeldt. He is a local physician working with Intermountain Healthcare, and he is also an awesome athlete, a pretty amazing cyclist, and he's competing in Kona in 2 weeks. It's almost here.
Tomorrow, yeah.
So Ironman World Championships, pretty cool story how he got there. And so I'm so excited about it. I'm gonna join him out there in Hawaii. So I got to go watch and see how it all goes. Pretty excited to be out there, and if nothing else, enjoy Hawaii, but also to see the Ironman World Championships. I'm pretty pumped. So thank you so much for coming, and
you're welcome. Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about how you got kind of this Kona bid. It's kind of an interesting story, right?
Yeah. So I'm going to make this a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's not too bad.
No, you're
you
fine.
have the ability to edit. So
Sure.
So I think my Kona bid started about when I was 22.
Okay.
Now at that time, I didn't know I was going to go to Kona. It was when my brother and I were talking about this relatively new activity called triathlon.
Yeah.
And the first triathlon, as best I can determine, was about 1974. And so I would have been about 12, 13 years old.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about it. The first Ironman was in 1978. I knew nothing about that. I mean, there was 15 guys, you know.
Yeah.
And
very small at that point.
but when I had come back off my mission, we were chatting with my brother. My brother had done a triathlon. It wasn't an Ironman, but it was a triathlon. And I go, wow, that's really cool. He goes, yeah, have you heard about this thing called Ironman? And I go, no, what's that? And he goes, well, that's where they do this 2.4 mile swim and a 112 mile bike ride and then a full marathon after that. It's like, these guys are freaks of nature, you know.
Yeah.
And that was the first time, as I've been reflecting on this, that something way in the back of my head said, that'd be super cool.
Yeah.
But I could never do it. You know,
Right.
only freaks of nature do that.
Right.
And then life caught up. I got married, which was not bad. That's good. I kind of said that like it was bad. It was awesome. But I get married.
Sure.
I start having kids. I go to medical school, and my weight kept going up and up. And by the time I get to residency, I'd gone from about 185 pounds. I was a pretty skinny guy when I get married.
Sure. Well,
By
you're pretty tall. So
yeah, I'm pretty tall. So I was skinny.
Yeah.
I was the tall, skinny kid. By the time I finish medical school, you know, I've hit the 200-pound plus, which still is okay. But it wasn't here. It was here and here.
Right.
And then I get into residency, and I developed an incredible talent. I could eat.
Yeah.
And I could stress, and I got really good at that. And so I ate and stressed, and perfected that to the point when I graduated residencies. Just 3 years later, I'd gone from 200 to almost 250.
Whoa,
so I put a lot of weight on in that
on.
3 years.
Yeah.
And I wasn't done. I hadn't completed my goal of seeing how fat I could get. And so by the time, let's see, I'd probably been in practice. Well, I finished residency in about 94.
Okay.
And so in 99, I was probably the heaviest I ever was. I was almost 290 pounds.
Wow. Okay.
And so I'd almost put more than 100 pounds on since I got married.
Yeah.
So I knew that things weren't going well. I slowly watched my blood sugars creep up. I wasn't diabetic, but they were just creeping up there. My cholesterol was terrible. Right. My blood pressure was going up. And I had contemplated the idea that I need to improve things.
Sure.
I mean, this isn't going to work out well. And I tried all the things. I tried the different stuff you drink, and you know,
meal replacements
and the health rider thing, and I had a few of those pieces of equipment that were great, clothes racks. And then I was at a medical conference in Kauai, not one of the islands, not Kona, but Kauai. And I was there, and Ken Cooper, the father of aerobics, the guy that coined that term, aerobic exercise, the Cooper Clinic, was speaking there. And one of the things he said was 5 is fine, but 9 is divine. And that stuck with me. I remember sitting second to the last row on the right-hand side of the table in the center. I mean, I know exactly where I was, in what hotel, when this happened. As I'm watching him, the guy's 20 years older than me. He's walking up and down on the stage up there, and as I'm watching him, I'm going, I'm 20 years younger than him at least, and the guy can kick my butt.
Yeah.
I mean, he's in such better shape than I am.
Yeah.
And if I keep going the direction I'm going, 20 years from now, I'm going to be in a wheelchair with an oxygen tube in my nose,
yeah.
With probably limbs missing from diabetes, on dialysis, and I go, that's not the kind of grandpa I thought I'd be.
Yeah.
So it really struck me. And what he meant by that 5 is fine, but 9 is divine is the number of fruits and vegetables we should be eating a day. Okay. 5 is fine, but 9 is divine.
Right.
And so I said, okay, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start eating better. So I focused on that. I also, as a physician, I should have known how to count carbs and stuff like that, but I didn't.
Right. Yeah.
I told people, that sounded like I knew what I did, but I really never done it. And I go, you know what? I need to do this so I really understand it. So I put myself on a carbohydrate restrictive diet, which was 150 grams of carbs per day, so it wasn't that restrictive compared to what people do now, right?
Right.
But for me, that was a massive drop in the number of grams of carbs I was eating.
Well, and it was probably an emphasis on eating healthy carbs.
Yes, and those carbs were, I'm a smart enough guy to realize I could get a lot of broccoli and cauliflower and
food,
lettuce and stuff and tomatoes and stuff, and they didn't count very much towards my carb deficit. So I could eat a whole bunch of food, my stomach would get full, but I was eating a lot fewer calories. And so over about a 2 to 3 year period, 2.5 year period, I had gone from about 285 pounds down to about 220, 225 pounds, somewhere in there.
That's awesome.
And so it was awesome.
Mostly just through diet modification.
Just through diet modification.
That's awesome.
And I did. I felt significantly better.
Yeah.
My cholesterol, those things changed a little bit. But I didn't look a whole lot different. I was kind of depressed because I'd look in the mirror and I go, okay, you're a smaller fat guy, but you're still a fat guy. My waist had gone from a 42-inch pants is what I was buying down to a 40-inch pants. So I dropped 2 inches off my waist. Okay. Yeah. And I was happy about that. I could actually bend over and tie my shoes without holding my breath. And so things were good. But I didn't feel fit.
Yeah.
And I didn't have the sense of vim and vigor that I expected with that.
Right.
So I, at the time, this is about 2001, 2002, Body for Life was the big rage. Okay.
Yeah.
Bill Phillips' book, and everybody had these before and after pictures. You could win a Ferrari or whatever. Patients had come in to me and said, you know what? I tried that Body for Life. It doesn't work. First of all, you can only eat a can of tuna fish a week, and you have to exercise 6 hours a day. You know, and I go, wow, that sounds kind of excessive, and kind of sounds like maybe someone's exaggerating a little bit. So maybe I'm going to buy the book and see what this is all about. And I'm in Smith's grocery store, and I see this book, and obviously somebody was going to buy it. And they decided, never mind, I
don't want to make this lifestyle
I think I'll get the Heath bar instead. But I saw that there, and I go, I'll just throw it on there. And so I bought it with my groceries that I would, my good groceries, right?
Right.
Well, I went home and I read it, and I go, you know what? The diet they expect is pretty much what I'm already doing.
Yeah.
Except they kind of allow a free day, which kind of sounded fun.
Yeah.
But the exercise, I'd not done any.
Yeah.
So in September of 2002, I said, I'm going to do the challenge because I think that this guy is full of crap, and he is exaggerating things. It's really not that good because these before and after pictures in the book are just like crazy.
Ridiculous.
You know?
Yeah.
And I go, no one loses that much weight in 3 months,
right?
And looks that much different in 3 months. But in order to be fair to the guy, okay, I have to go full in.
Right.
Okay, I cannot miss a workout. I cannot cheat on my diet. I'm even going to go ahead and I'm going to buy all the supplements. I'm not an idiot. I know this is a marketing thing,
right?
But I'm going to buy all the supplements too. So there are no excuses.
Right.
Okay.
And really test it.
Really test it.
Yeah.
And so I did. I spent a bunch of money on his stuff that he had there. But I did not miss a single workout. I injured my back while I was doing it. And just a muscle strain kind of thing, but it hurt.
Yeah.
But I said, nope, no excuses. I'm going to the gym. I'm going to do it anyway.
That's awesome.
I went from that 220, 225 pounds down to about 210 pounds. I lost about 10, maybe 15 pounds, somewhere in there.
Right.
Okay. But my waist went from 40 inch to 35.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
And I can get you the before and after pictures, and you can take a look at them. It was, I mean, I didn't win a Ferrari, okay,
right.
But I get this certificate from Bill Phillips that says, congratulations, you did it. Of 100 people that will sign up for this and actually complete it to the level that you've done, only 4%, only 4 of those people actually complete it, and you're in that 4.
That's awesome.
So he sent me the thing. Okay, well, I felt fantastic. I was not doing triathlon or anything like that. I had no intention of it. But what I did find is that it got difficult to continue doing.
Sure.
That level of intensity,
yeah.
And it was just, it was, for me, it was boring.
Yeah.
Okay.
Understandable.
So the timing was just right. A young lady in the neighborhood comes up and says, "Hey, will you come and do a triathlon with me?" And I go, "No, it's not my thing. I'm doing this Body for Life thing, stuff like that." She says, "Oh, please, 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 you know." Well, I signed up for this triathlon. So this is in 2005. So I had done the Body for Life type of lifestyle for about 3 years.
Yeah.
Okay. And she challenges me to this triathlon. And so, to my knowledge, we didn't work out once together. So that didn't work out. But I had signed up for this triathlon at Pineview Reservoir.
Yeah.
And I went sometime in August. This was going to be in September. I went sometime in August, and I swam in Pineview. And I was a swimmer in high school.
Sure.
Okay? I went swam, and I freaked out.
Yeah, open water swimming,
yeah. Man. This is not the same as being in the pool.
Right.
And so it kind of scared me. So I signed up for 2 other shorter triathlons that were in a pool.
Just little sprints.
Yes.
And
so in 2 weeks, I did 3 triathlons. I did the one that I'd signed up for clear back in the spring, plus these other 2 that I signed up for to just say, okay, what's this all about?
Yeah.
And I remember finishing and just having this sense of accomplishment and a sense of camaraderie and energy that I'd never experienced before, of all the people competing and just the kindness of the people and the volunteers and everything and the encouragement. And so it became infectious at that point. So 2005 was my first triathlon. I was a middle of the packer. And from there, about that time, somebody in my neighborhood, an older gentleman, I owe him a lot of credit because what he did is he saw me lose this weight and everything, and he comes up to me and he goes, "You know, it's just a fad. You just lost it. You're not going to keep it off. You're going to get fat like everybody else does, you know." And
which statistically
speaking, he's right.
He's
okay.
Right. Yeah.
But it ticked me off.
Yeah.
And it put a burn in my belly. And right then is when I said, "You're wrong. And to prove you're wrong, when I'm 50, I'm going to do an Ironman." So that was awesome. When I made my first declaration of doing an Ironman. Well, if I'm going to do an Ironman, you got to do a bunch of other stuff as well. So
it takes a bit.
In 2006, I rode my first century ride.
Nice.
Boy, I remember that. I remember coming down 8.5 hours later. I was almost the last guy to finish, crashing on the grass, staring up at the dusk of sky as it's going down, and going, I know some people that have done this race called Loaded Ya. There is no way I could get on my bike right now and ride that course again.
Right.
Because it's 200 miles versus 100.
Yeah.
You know? And there's just no way. Okay. 2008, I completed my first Loaded Ya. Okay. Nice. But I'd ridden my 100 miles. Okay. On the Ironman, it's 112. Okay. So check. I know I can do 100 miles on a bike.
Right.
Okay? Can I do a marathon? 2007, so a year later,
in
the spring of 2007, I did my first marathon, the Ogden Marathon.
Ogden. Okay.
And you know, I'd have to look it up. I can't recall my time that I got. Sore. Oh, I've never been that sore in my life. Running marathons is a lot harder than doing a century bike ride as far as how awful you feel after.
Right. That getting off the toilet the next morning is pretty
it's
rough.
terrible. stairs are your enemy, you know. I know why certain people go downstairs backwards now, because I was doing it too. Because that fear of taking that first step and then boom, next thing you know, your face burns. So but there was a new experience, but I could do it. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, could I do 100 miles and then turn around and do? That's another thing.
That's pretty tough.
But that was what I did. Well, to kind of leapfrog forward, in 2012, I was 50 years old, and so this is 10 years after Body for Life.
Yeah.
Okay. I figured if I've done it 10 years, I've made a lifestyle change. Okay. And after 10 years, I do in November 2012, I complete my first Ironman.
Awesome.
And so far, my only Ironman other than what's coming up.
Yeah.
It was just so cool.
I
could talk 2 hours just about that. So we're not going to do that.
Which one was it? Tempe. Okay.
Tempe, Arizona.
Yeah.
I did need to go down the year before. So in 2011, I went there because that one was, I don't know if it still is, but it was a really tough one to get in. It's a very popular one. They sell out really quick. There's 3 ways you can get, 4 ways. One, if you're an athlete there, you can sign up. They're really smart. Before you've done the race, if you sign up, you're a guaranteed spot for next year. They don't want to wait till after the race. You might change your mind.
Right.
So that one's a guarantee. The next one is if you're a volunteer there, you get first shot at it. And then if you are present physically there, you're the next one. Then they open up on the internet. Okay. And most of the time there's like a handful of spots left for the internet.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to take that chance. So I went down there, watched the race, and I didn't volunteer because I thought, there won't be that many people. Oh, I was wrong.
Yeah.
So I get there the morning of the race. Holy cow! It was like this line. Honestly, it was more than a mile long of people standing in line to sign up for the.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And so I'm standing there waiting for my turn because they don't even let the non-volunteers step in and sign up until all of the volunteers have signed up.
Yeah.
And I'm just sweating bullets. I'm thinking, I'm not going to get in.
Yeah.
I came all the way down here and I'm not going to get in. The guy that was signing people up, as he's sitting there across the computer, he was funny because he could tell I was just scared. And he goes, "Don't worry, son. There's enough spots. You're going to make it." And so
he was reading your mind.
He was reading my mind because I was afraid. Gosh, I'm not going to get to do it. I trained for that, and that year in 2012, I signed up for Lodija, which is in September. The Ironman's going to be in November, so I have enough time between that I can do both. And I was still running in the summer, but not as much as cycling, because I had made a promise with a friend that had taken 6th place in Lodija the year before. I'm going to work for you so you can get on the podium because the podium goes to 5. So I had made that promise to him. And I'd never raced Lodija. 2012 was the first time I raced it. In 2008, 9, 10, 11, I'd ridden them.
Yeah.
So I was aware of the course and stuff, but I'd never gone all out to see how fast I could go.
Right.
And so in that race, I remember going up that first mountain pass harder than human beings shouldn't do that. I remember thinking, this is stupid. No one should go up a hill this fast. But I told Brian I would help him get on the podium.
Yeah.
And so when we get over the top of that first hill, there were like 7 or 8 of us out of 50 that started in our group.
Yeah.
And that I was cramping. We're 70 miles into a 200-mile race, and I've got major cramping.
Yeah.
Well, we get over the second pass, and we drop another couple guys, and now I go, I could make it on the podium. All I have to do is beat, I think there were 6 of us. All I have to do is beat one other guy.
Yeah.
And holy cow, I went from never thinking I would ever be able to do Lodija to possibly getting on the podium, right?
Yeah, that's great.
So we continue on through the race. We get to the last 5 miles, you make a right-hand corner, and you're on a 5-mile kind of a straight road. And Brian, my friend that I was riding for, he goes, "Randy, I'm gassed." He goes, "I don't want you to worry about me anymore. I want you to see you looking better. You're feeling better." I go, "Oh, looks can be deceiving. I don't feel that great either." And he says, "I want you to see if you can win." Okay. Here we are, almost 200 miles into a 200-mile bike ride.
Yeah.
And I'm 4 years away from, or 5? Let's see. I guess I'm 8 years away. When was it? 2006 to 2012. So 6 years away from when I didn't think I could do it. And all of a sudden, could I win? Comes into my mind.
Yeah.
So as we're approaching this finish line, I've never sprinted for a win. I've never raced a bike race like this before. We're getting closer and closer. I don't know, when am I supposed to leap? When am I supposed to go?
Right.
I don't want to go too early.
Right.
And I felt like a horse that was cooped up. And I think it was about 300-400 yards, something like that. And I couldn't take it anymore. And so I just shot out. And I'm hammering as hard as I can. I've got my head down on my handlebars, and I'm just hammering. And as I look back, I can see the shadow of a wheel that's right on my tire.
Oh, man.
And I go, I'm going to get denied. This guy's going to come slingshotting around me at the last second. He's going to beat me, you know.
Yeah.
And I verbally screamed out, "No, you will not." And I throttled it a little bit more, and I crossed the finish line first.
That's
so
awesome.
To go from not thinking you can do it to
Right.
actually winning the race in 4 years is just a testament to what we're able to do that we don't think we can do.
Yeah. That's huge. And I mean, that's a major race too. Loaded jaw's like a big deal.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of a big deal in Utah.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. That's awesome.
And so I did that in September.
Yeah.
Okay, but because I'd been cycling so much, I hadn't been running.
Right.
Okay, and I'd never ridden my time trial bike. You know, my triathlon bike.
Right.
You know, which is a different position and stuff like that. And so I didn't know I've never done that 112 miles.
In that
position, you know, that's not the most comfortable position to be in.
No.
So in November, I go to Hawaii, I volunteer, and we'll get to how I got the spot in Kona here. Yeah. But I volunteered, I came back, I only ran in Hawaii because I didn't have a bike there, and I started running a lot. But actually from Lodoja on, I just did a lot of running. And then I get home, and I go, I got to go out and ride my time trial bike.
Yeah.
So I get out there. I'm still in pretty good biking shape, and I get on my time trial bike, and I picked a course out that would be about the same amount of climbing, and I'm out about 30, 40 miles out, and I'm looking at my time, and I'm going, dude, I could win Ironman Arizona. I'm crushing this thing, you know, and I feel great.
Yeah.
Turned around, and I'm coming back, you know, and I'm just bombing. And I'm looking at my average speeds, you know, 22 and a half miles an hour, something like that, and I'm feeling great until mile 80.
Oh, shoot.
Boom! And it was gone.
Wall, huh?
It was gone. And I limped back home. I don't think I even got the 112 in. And because I had to turn around, I was toast. I get in, I walk into the living room, and my wife goes, "Well, how'd it go?" And I go, "I'm not going to be able to do the Ironman. I can't.
Yeah. There's
no way. I mean, I didn't even do 100 miles, and there is no way I can do a marathon right now." And my wife, being the good woman that she is, turned around and walked away because she knows what will motivate me.
Right.
And I'm just sitting there. I'm almost in tears, sitting there going, I put all this effort into this,
sure,
and I'm not going to be able to finish. And so I called Brian up. Now, Brian, the guy that I'd helped in Lodoja, had done an Ironman in in St. George in May.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a tough course.
That's a tough course. And so he had done that, and so I call him up. I go, I can cry to him, and he'll at least understand. And I go, Brian, I can't finish this. And he gave me such great advice. He goes, Randy, you think this is a bike race. This is not a bike race.
Right.
This is a triathlon. You can't go out there and hammer the bike like that.
Yeah.
So I did exactly what no one would tell me to do this kind of training thing.
Right.
Every week up until the Saturday before I went and raced the Ironman in Arizona, I rode 112 miles on my bike. Not to try and improve my fitness, but I had to learn what level of effort I needed to put out.
That makes
so
sense.
that I could. So it was all education. It wasn't. I know I didn't gain anything physically. If anything, I probably lost some physically for doing those harder rides right up until the race. And so, but I learned what I needed to do.
The psychological piece was probably huge with that.
Oh yeah.
The physical, it may have depleted you a little bit, but you knew in your mind that you could do it.
Yes. And so my
confidence,
had some
strategy
and strategy went in.
Yeah.
And so in 2012 I crossed the finish line in Arizona. Nowhere near what you need to qualify for Kona.
Sure.
Okay. I had learned the realistic.
If you did that on your first time.
Yeah, that would have been unfair. That's not supposed to happen.
Right.
I placed well, but I was not anywhere near what you needed. So
sure.
I don't know who's going to listen to this. The only way there's basically 3 ways to get into the Ironman.
Yeah.
You either win a spot, like if I did the Arizona and I'd taken first, second, or maybe down to third, then that would have guaranteed me a spot in Kona.
Right.
Okay, so that's one way. And out of the 2,500 athletes, probably about 2,300 of them, that's how they get there.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Then there's something they call the legacy. Okay, the legacy is if you're dedicated enough to do enough Ironman then the Ironman Corporation will basically grant you an opportunity to race in Kona.
Isn't it like 10 years in a row or something?
Yeah, it's got to be. It's a lot.
Something like that.
It's a lot. Yeah. I haven't even looked into it. It's a lot. And they're expensive races. Right. And you're traveling and everything else.
And just the time to prepare for it is expensive.
So I'm glad they do that, but that wasn't realistic for me.
Right.
The other way is a special drawing. They have 2 special drawings. They probably have other ones, but 2 that I know of. One of them is if you're a Hawaii resident. I think they give 20 spots that Hawaiian residents can put in for. Okay. The other one, there's 1 spot, and those are for the medical team that supplies medical care to the Ironman race. I had been doing that since 2009. And so every year since 2009, I'd been putting my name in this drawing.
Right.
And I remember in 2009 when they were doing the drawing, I'm shaking and my hands are sweating because I'd never remember 2009. I hadn't done an Ironman yet.
Right.
Okay, that was 2012.
You're like, if I get this,
so if I get this, I'm scared. Yeah, I'm a little bit nervous. I was almost relieved when they didn't draw my name.
Sure.
Okay, a little bummed, but probably a little more relieved than I was bummed.
Yeah.
But by the time 2012 had come around, stuff like that, I had gotten used to the fact they're never drawing my name out.
Right.
Okay. So it was in 2018, just last year.
Right.
They pull it out and they say Randall Steinfeldt, I just I had to wipe the tear out of my eye.
Sure.
Because it's something I've been there for 9 years, watching the Ironman, walking on a lead, drive that hallowed ground where you finish and everything like that, and the excitement of this epic event. And being able to participate in it was just so huge to me that the thought of doing it actually coming to a possibility was just phenomenal.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And so
it's such a cool. I mean, literally, some of the best endurance athletes on the planet will be there.
Oh yeah, it'll be crazy.
That's so cool.
Yeah, see, I'm kind of used to it now. You'll be blown away.
Yeah, I'm so excited about it.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So back up a little bit.
Yeah.
In 2016, and the reason we've got Titanium Man on is I'm going along. 2012 I won Lotoja. 2013 I took second place. 2014 I won Lotoja. 2015 I took second place.
Wow.
Okay. 2016 I thought, you know what I want to do? I want to do a relay one. I want to get on the podium as a relay team.
Winning a stage or
no,
because
you can race Lotoja as a team. But most people that do a relay, they're doing it just to complete it. Mm-hmm. The ones that want to win, it's not pleasant. So you each five, you got a 5-member team.
Right.
Each one does a certain leg, but then you win. All of you win a medal and stuff like that.
And I wanted just redlining for your whole.
Yeah, for your whatever stage. 20 to 50 miles, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And so and I had so many friends that had helped me win these other races that I thought I'm going to get them on my team, and we're going to work out together. I want them to see what it feels like to stand on that top podium.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was the thing. And then on June 7th, 2016, if you look at that logo, that's what that is. It's 6, 7, 16.
Yeah.
I was training and was coming down a hill way too fast, about 40 miles an hour, missed the corner, and crashed.
Oh, man.
And landed on my chest. I was completely unconscious, so I don't recall any of it. The first thing I remember is waking up in the ambulance as I'm being transported to the hospital.
Yeah.
To make a long story short, I broke my back.
Yeah.
And the T7 shattered it. I was blessed.
So flex quite a bit.
Well, I landed on my chest and just scorpioned.
Scorpion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. And so I required surgery.
Yeah.
And ended up with some plates and rods and screws and stuff in my back, which are made out of titanium. So that's Titanium Man.
Titanium Man. I like it.
And so that was in June of 2016. I took, there was about 2 or 3 weeks that I didn't do any exercise, okay?
Yeah.
But I was so afraid because of where I'd come from.
Yeah.
That if I take a hiatus very long, I'm going to be right back to where I was.
Right.
And so I asked my surgeon, I go, can I ride my bike? And he said, no.
Come on, give me something.
And I said, I've got to do something. I can't run. It hurts too bad to run.
Sure.
People say that broken ribs are the most painful thing to ever have. Okay?
Right.
Well, I broke 4 ribs when I broke my back too.
Right.
Okay. ribs didn't hurt at all. Broken back is much more painful than broken ribs. And I thought that was the most painful until they put the screws in my back. And I found out, no, there's one step more. And I am not interested in the next step. I don't want to find that one out.
Right.
So there's no way I could run. And it was difficult even to walk, but I had to do something. And so he gave me permission to ride on a recumbent bike. I had a friend that had one, as long as it was attached to a trainer. And so I clamped this recumbent bike to the trainer. It was quite a process to get on the bike, but once I was on the bike and I'd break a sweat and start working out, for those brief moments I felt normal.
Yeah.
I put about 700 miles in a 10-foot bike in a room about this size.
Yeah.
Over about 90 days.
Wow.
And then I was given permission to go on a regular bike after the 90 days, after my bones had fused and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I went back in 2017, volunteered at the medical tent.
Yeah.
I luckily had been more than 90 days, so I didn't have to wear my back brace because that would have been embarrassing.
Yeah.
But I volunteered there. I was hobbling around pretty good.
Yeah.
Wow. So that was in 2016. 2017, I didn't want to break my unbroken record of the Ogden Marathon every year since 2007. And I had run it in 2016, of course, before I broke my back.
Right.
So in 2017, I did the Ogden Marathon. It was a very slow Ogden Marathon, but I did the Ogden Marathon.
That's amazing.
Oh my God. And in 2017, loaded ya, I'm signed up. Okay, I just turned 55. I'm in a new age group. Okay, again, make a long story short, won it.
That's
in 2017. 15 months after a back fracture, and with surgery. And 2 weeks after that, I complete my longest ride that I've ever done in my life. 425 miles or so. The Salt to Saint relay I did solo.
Oh, you did? Oh, wow.
Yeah, 30 hours and 25 minutes of riding.
Salt
And
to Saint
part of
solo.
part of that, I believe, is I had to prove to myself that I could still do it.
Yeah. That you were better.
That yes, I was better.
Yeah.
That I could do it with the pain, because the pain is still there.
Yeah.
The pain will never be gone.
Right.
There's consequences to breaking your back, and one of them is back pain.
Yeah.
And so pain will always be there.
Right.
But I don't have to stop living.
So that is such an interesting concept. I try to talk about that with people all the time with my physical therapy patients, right? How pain, like, there's a million things we can do to address pain. We can give you narcotics, we can, all these things. But in the end, like, you're always going to have some kind of pain. So if you let pain be a barrier, like, it's going to slow you down and stop your life. Really, let's focus on function. What can I do now that I couldn't do before? Mm-hmm. If we focus on that, a lot of the time, with most simple things, the pain goes away if we focus on the function. Or at least we get to an acceptable level of pain, where it's like, yeah, it still hurts, every now and again, but look at what I can do. And the doing that is much more meaningful to me than the pain.
Exactly. And what I find is, if I am, you already mentioned this, but if I am concentrating on what I'm doing and not the pain, then what I'm doing takes my brain power up, and I don't notice the pain. The pain is still there.
Oh, yeah.
And if I want to, I can focus on the pain, but then all I do is experience pain instead of other stuff. So.
Yeah. No, we tend to perseverate on pain, right? We tend to get stuck there, and then we assume that movement is bad, right? And that movement is going to make it worse. And it can acutely, but over time, the more you move, the less the pain becomes a problem.
Yeah.
And so just getting past that point of letting the pain restrict you and doing more and more, so powerful. But it's hard to get people past that mentality. For years, we were told that recovery, just go rest it off until you recover. And evidence and just anecdotal evidence would suggest that we recover slower, we have a harder time getting back to doing the things we love to do. Really, I always tell people, our body responds to what we tell it to do. If we tell it to heal while sitting in a chair, it will heal, but it'll heal weak. If we tell it to heal, you told your back to heal while pedaling a bike and while moving as much as you possibly could. And so your back decided to heal strong, right? And so it's bearing the load of you running 26 miles. It's bearing the load of you doing all these things because you told it to. And so, yeah, you still have some pain, but you can still do pretty much anything you want to do.
Yeah.
I mean, an Ironman is pretty intense. Yeah. So that's awesome. I love it. What an inspiration. So I want to ask a really big question that I find myself asking, as well as wondering how other physicians and physical therapists and people related in health or wellness fields, when you were out of shape and overweight, how hard was that to recommend that people change their life? How, to tell somebody, you're encroaching on diabetes, you need to make some changes.
Oh, I felt like a hypocrite. It was awful.
Was that hard to do?
Yeah, it was very difficult. As a matter of fact, I rarely did it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and that's...
I would avoid it because I don't like being hypocritical.
Sure.
And so I'd say, studies show, but I wouldn't say I am telling you you have to or anything like that, because I felt, if you're not going to do it, you shouldn't ask anybody else to do it either.
Right. Yeah, so I've always wondered about that. Like, as a physical therapist, telling somebody these are the exercises you should be doing or can be doing or whatever. If I can't do them, so I kind of made that a personal rule. Like, I can't prescribe an exercise to somebody if I can't do it. Because that seems super hypocritical.
Well, and that's what I kind of mentioned that with the counting carbohydrates.
Yeah.
I said, I'm going to have to learn how to do it, because that's kind of rude.
Yeah.
Ask somebody to do something you can't do or won't do.
Yeah, wouldn't be willing to do, or No, absolutely. I think that's an interesting point for all kind of, even coaches. I see that all the time. I would be so ticked off if a coach, I get that they couldn't compete at the same level maybe, but you can't run around the block and you're making me run wind sprints. Come on, really? I'd like to know that at some point in time you could have done that or whatever, kind of funny, but I think that's really, really interesting to see how that kind of desire to do that, to be able to say, you can make a change in your life, to be that living example of that, how that's turned into you accomplishing so much. That's amazing story. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's been a wonderful journey.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny how, you start winning all these things and you've already proven that you can come from overweight, out of shape, blah, 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 and then to get kind of put back on your butt with this injury and be like, now do it again. Kind of a crazy journey. Pretty inspirational. That's awesome stuff. Trying to think of any other questions that I have about that. So how has your training gone for
It's gone really well. I've hired a coach through Training Peaks.
Yeah.
That was really smart. That was smart. Probably accidentally smart, but it was smart to do, because my biggest thing that I do incorrectly is overtrain.
Yeah.
Jess McMorris, give plugs to her. She, as a matter of fact, I in order to keep my spot in Hawaii after I drew it out, I had to do at least a half Ironman in the 2019 year.
Oh, really? Okay.
Well, it makes sense to do the one down in St. George because it's close. I don't have to fly down there and everything like that. I had already signed up for the Ogden Marathon.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah. Well, they're 2 weeks apart from each other.
Yeah.
Okay. So I sent Jess an email and said, this is the situation. I've got to do this half Ironman, or I'm not going to lose my spot. How should the question was, how should I run the Ogden Marathon?
Right.
And her response back to me was, not show up.
But I've got this streak going.
Yeah. And so I said, that's what I told her. I said, well, I got this streak going on, and she goes, well, what do you want to do? Do you want to finish the Ironman, or do you want to keep your streak going?
Right.
So she's awesome. I mean, she called me on the carpet and says, well, what if, let's have a negotiation process here. What if I switch, I don't know if I can, but if I can switch it to the half.
Yeah.
Okay. And she goes, well, just a second, let me look at your your workout schedule. And she goes, well, you're scheduled to do a 2-hour run anyway that day. She goes, how long does it take you? I go, less than 2 hours.
Yeah.
And she goes, okay, then you run that, but you don't race it.
Race it, yeah. And that's a huge key, telling people, there's a difference between racing a race and running a race.
Yeah.
You can run a race as a training run, but you don't have to race every race. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's what I did, and so she's given me multiple.
Awesome.
I took a trip to Alaska this year with my dad. It was awesome, but what am I going to do?
How do you train in Alaska?
How do I train in Alaska? Obviously I'm not going to have my bike. I can't go swim in the ocean. It's too dang cold. I don't want to get eaten by bears, so I don't want to run out in the woods.
Right.
So she just kind of calmed me down. She goes, "You've got the fitness. Yes, your fitness score is going to drop and a few things like that, but we've got plenty of time. Go there and enjoy it." And so she calmed me down again.
In some ways, it may have been good for your body just to take a break, right?
It may have been.
Just from a total load perspective. A week or whatever is not long enough to really lose all of it.
No.
And you were still being active and stuff. So, that's
so
awesome.
So my total, about 500, people ask, so I'll tell you, about 500 hours of training
total
time.
Training. Wow.
And so if you break that down, that's about 3 months of a full-time job. Around 5,000 miles on the bike, around 900 miles running, and about 150 miles swimming.
Wow.
Is what I've done over the
crazy.
last year.
All while being a practicing physician with an established practice, so you're busy practice-wise, right?
Yeah, you can make it work if you want it.
Right, and that's exactly, you can fit it in if it's a priority. Mm-hmm. Now your wife may be ready for it to be over.
Yeah, hopefully. This might be how she finds out. She knows. I would like to do the Ironman in St. George because they're doing a full Ironman this year. It's just I would run it, not race it.
You wouldn't race it.
I wouldn't race it because I still want to do the Ogden Marathon, because I'll make a plug for someone here, and someone that you might want to be interviewing.
Yeah.
Scott Rigsby.
Okay.
Look him up. He's the first double amputee to do the Ironman in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Okay, he's a friend of mine.
Yeah.
And he's going to be coming here. 99% sure. Hopefully, I'm not screwing anything up here. 99% sure he's going to be doing the Ogden Marathon.
Cool.
Scott Rigsby. And he's an awesome dude. He's a great interview.
Cool.
So when we get him out here,
he doesn't live in Utah then?
He lives in Georgia.
In Georgia.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
But I'll
let me know. I'd love to interview him. That'd be awesome.
He's an awesome guy.
Cool.
So
okay. Well, so any last words of wisdom for somebody that is in that same position where they're like, you know what, I've had an injury, or I've just let grad school or life take a hold. Yeah. How would you say, what's that first step that they need to do to motivate themselves to get going?
You've got to have a reason.
Okay.
If you don't have a reason, you won't do it.
Yeah.
And that reason has to be incredibly important to you. When I made that commitment in 1999, I have little mantras like, you're either making progress or making excuses. I've got different things like that. But the one that I had to keep me motivated was, okay, you won't do it for yourself. Will you do it for your, at the time, yet to be born grandchildren?
Yeah.
Because that was the big thing. I didn't want to be a grandpa that couldn't. Now, I'm not saying that grandpas that are in wheelchairs aren't awesome grandpas.
Right.
Okay, every grandpa's an awesome grandpa.
Right.
I didn't want to be there if I had some say over it.
Right.
Okay, and I did.
Right.
And so when the alarm would go off, it's time to get up and do a workout. Okay, will you do it for your yet to be born grandchildren? Yes, was the answer to that, and I could swing my leg out of bed.
I love it.
Well, there's the cake. Are you going to eat that? I will not turn it down for myself, but I will for my grandkids. Yeah. And so that was my motivator.
That's awesome.
And if you don't have a purpose, I don't believe you're going to be successful. And I think that's with anything in life.
Right.
If you're doing a career, and the only reason for your career is money. If money is everything to you, then it will be a motivator, and that is for some people.
It is for some people.
But if it's not, you won't complete it. You won't.
Right.
You've got to find something that hits home,
right,
and will continue driving you, that you can constantly go back to and remind yourself.
Right. I 100% agree. I talk with people about that all the time. They'll come in for weight loss, and one of the first things I talk about with them is like, it can't be about weight loss. If it's about weight loss, that doesn't move the needle.
It is not enough.
Right. When you're fatigued and tired and you look on the scale and you haven't lost as much as you thought you were going to have, like, you'll bail on that in a second. But when it's about something deeper, when it's about being able to do something that you can't currently do that you really want to, or something more about your lifestyle and the things and the people that you love, that's something that will get you out of bed. That's something that will keep you going. But if it's about weight on the scale or aesthetics, like, it's not going to move the needle. Yeah.
Which is somewhat, I thought that's somewhat good.
Yeah.
Okay, that people aren't, we're all vain, but they're not that vain.
Right.
That vanity will drive them to do it. I'm glad that we're deeper than that as human beings.
Well, there are some, you look on Instagram and you wonder, right? But I agree that there's deeper levels of motivation and tapping into that. It's finding that, really, and that's not easy sometimes, to find what really will get you out of bed in the morning. But I love that. Being the active grandkid, that's always been a thing for me, wanting to be able to be the dad that beats my kids up the mountain, right? I have 4 boys, and they're getting huge, and I'm pretty sure my oldest is going to start beating me up soon, so he's massive. But I want to be able to beat him up the mountain and be able to do stuff and not have my body be the reason why I can't do anything that they want to do. Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
So
that was my. So that if there was any advice that I could give in a nutshell, that would be it: is to find what motivates you, find what purpose you have.
Yeah.
And then make that the core.
Awesome.
And you'll be able to stick to it.
Yep. And we talked earlier about we want to create a supplement, and the supplement is called
Patience.
Patience. Key ingredients: motivation, perseverance, consistency, right? Like it's not something that you can buy or whatever. It's just you got to stick with it and be consistent every day.
The magic is in here.
Yeah.
It's not in a bottle.
Right.
And sometimes that can be a little frustrating because you are to blame.
Yeah.
But it's also unbelievably freeing to realize I don't have to rely on someone else.
Yeah. And I can be the source of change as well.
Yes, I can be. I can.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. Well, cool. So thank you so much for joining us today. So we did a metabolic test earlier, and he crushed it. He did awesome. So just dialing things in for Kona. Really excited to see how you do and the whole process. So he told me about the medical conference. It may be one I go to every year just because it's a great excuse to take a business trip out to Kona.
Oh, and you're gonna and then the conference is really good.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good information there. So
awesome. I'm excited about it. And then being able to volunteer in the tent will be amazing. So.
Yeah, you're gonna love that.
Yeah, pretty stoked. So thank you so much for joining us.
All right.
How do people find you?
I don't have a website or anything like that.
Sure.
I just I'm out at North Ogden.
Okay.
At the Intermountain Clinic in North Ogden.
Okay.
And
awesome. Okay, so look him up if you want help from a physician that has done it. He's the guy to go to for sure. So awesome.
But I'm not gonna be easy on you.
Nope, that's but that's a good thing. You need that. You want that. Somebody that'll light a fire in there. So good stuff.
Okay,
all right, thanks so much for joining us, and thanks for joining us on the Body Smart Podcast. We'll catch you on the next episode.
Thanks for listening to the Body Smart Podcast. Join us in the Body Smart community on Facebook to share your successes or ask a question for our next episode. Now get out there and take the next step toward living your active lifestyle.